Welcome to part 2 of my Anakin Skywalker Character Analysis. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, then I highly encourage you to do so. I'll throw up the title card and place a link in the description to it. In today's video, I'll continue my case for Anakin as the greatest Star Wars character, looking at his role in Episode 2. So without further ado, let's get into it. Anakin's dreams of his mother would turn into nightmares, and not only do they haunt his dreams, but they become his focus, and therefore his reality, as he can't shake the thoughts of her in pain and him not being there to help her. She was always his hero and there for him, so he feels that it's his duty to do the same for her.
Don't go.
I don't want to disturb you.
The presence is soothing.
When Anakin's focus is on being around Padme, he finds peace, as simply being around others that he cares about allows him to bring his hectic mind to a state of calm.
You had another nightmare last night.
Jedi don't have nightmares.
I heard you.
Anakin tries to deny the truth, but more importantly he shows that he has unrealistic standards for himself, as he always believed the Jedi to be these perfect, infallible heroes and guardians of peace and justice. So, as he tries to become one, he believes that he should be what he always thought they were. Perfect, not realizing that the Jedi, like anyone else, have flaws, and it's okay to embrace them, rather than hold in this negative emotion and allow it to boil inside of him.
I saw my mother. She is suffering, Padme. I saw her as clearly as I see you now. She is in pain. I know I'm disobeying my mandate to protect you, Senator, but I have to go.
At the end of the day, Anakin will always do what he feels is right, what he feels like will help others, and none more so than his mother. These dreams are unlike any other, as they show him a window into the reality of what his mother's state is, this being a foreboding sign for not only now, but his dreams in the future, as it wouldn't end there.
I have to help her.
I'll go with you.
I'm sorry, I don't have a choice.
Padme chooses to go with Anakin because, similar to him, she puts others before herself, as they're both selfless people that act to serve others. Anakin is simply a case of when you allow that good mindset to take over and dictate your actions, as he truly believes he has no choice but to go, not realizing that we always have a choice. In this case, as well as it would be with Padme, as when he has dreams or nightmares about her, he would show how he would choose to go too far. And so, Anakin and Padme traverse to the desert planet of Tatooing, his home, where they met and where his story began. It's here that we get to see how Anakin has grown and changed as a person, as he visits familiar places and people, but this time as a man and a Jedi learner. Unfortunately, a bit more jaded and cynical of the world, compared to his purely optimistic and ideal mindset he had when he was just a boy.
Ting mi chasa hopa.
Kibuda, Yubana Piota, Jedi, Jedi, no bata, no dodo.
Anakin shows that he doesn't really care for Watto, as he rightfully doesn't have the fondest memories of him. He sees that he's in a significantly worse state now, giving credence to his statements about how Watto wouldn't survive without him in the first film. Anakin repairing Watto's droid also not only reminds us of Anakin's natural ability to fix things, but his willingness to help others even when he has a negative or neutral or indifferent feelings towards them, as he helps Watto by fixing something he's struggling with. Also, it's Anakin's way of confirming to him that he's exactly who he thinks he is.
Mi boska de Shmi Skywalker.
Lani? Nah. You are Annie. It is you. You sure sprouted, huh? With you. A Jedi. What do you know? Maybe you could help with some deadbeats who owe me a lot of money.
My mother.
This scene really emphasizes not only how far Anakin has made it in life since being a slave, but how Watto is nearing rock bottom. It's also interesting to see the difference in reaction, as Anakin seemed to have not looked forward to seeing him at all, but Watto's reaction felt genuine, as he did look at Anakin as a friend of sorts, so he lights up to see him again and happy that he made it in life. But for Anakin, it's hard to put the past behind him and look at Watto in a similar light.
Oh yeah, Shmi. She's not mine no more. I sold her.
You sold her.
Years ago. Sorry, Annie, but you know, business is business, huh? I sold her to a moisture farmer named Lars. least I think it was Lars. Believe it or not, I heard he freed her and married her. Tell me a bit of that, eh? Yeah.
Do you know where they are now?
Oh, long way from here. Someplace over on the other side of Mos Eisley, I think.
I'd like to know.
Sure. Absolutely. Let's go look at my records, huh?
Anakin is disappointed, but couldn't truly have expected more from Watto. What would normally all be good news, as his mother went on to live a life that Anakin should be happy about, even finding love, none of it soothes him to hear, as he still worries about her safety. Also, Anakin's tone as he asks questions has a veiled threat behind them, as you can feel the simmering anger growing as he yearns to find out the whereabouts of his mother. Anakin then arrives in the place that would one day be his son's home, at the Lars Moisture Farm, only to be greeted by a familiar face.
Hello, how might I be of service? I am C.
3PO.
The maker. Oh, Master Annie. I knew you would return. I knew it. And Miss Padme, oh my.
Hello, 3PO.
Anakin also gets to see 3PO, a project of his that, as he once said, was to help his mom. So it gives him a little bit of comfort to know that after all this time, 3PO helped his mother as he had always wanted him to.
Bless my circuits, I'm so pleased to see you both.
I've come to see my mother.
Oh, I think perhaps we'd better go indoors.
3PO and Anakin's personalities now are also a stark difference, as where Anakin was once a lot more of a talkative and optimistic kid, he's now more jaded and serious, even when he's greeting an old friend.
I don't want to give up on her, but she's been gone a month. There's little hope she's lasted this long.
Where are you going? To find my mother.
Your mother's dead, son. Accept it.
Klieg has done everything imaginable to save Shmi, but in Anakin's eyes, it's still not good enough. As if there's a will, there's a way. So even going against their advice, he chooses to go find her and save her, as Anakin trusts no one more than himself. He also does so because he knows that if the roles were reversed, his mother would do everything she could to save him. Even the way Anakin responds shows that in his mind it's obvious what he's going to do. As for him, there's simply no other choice. Where others may have failed, he doesn't allow that to be an option in his mind, going in with the mindset that he will succeed. This also shows that when it comes to his selfless and at times controlling and overprotective nature, he can't be reasoned with, as he will do what he believes must be done every time, even if it is reckless, as we would see here, with Obi-Wan later in the movie, and Padme in Revenge of the Sith. So, Anakin says his goodbyes and rides off into the sunset on a mission to save his mother. As he's leaving, it's a nice touch that the music swells into the same binary sunset theme that plays in A New Hope, when Luke looks off into the desert planet's twin suns. But before the music fully crescendos, it transitions into the theme of the Duel of the Fates. While there's no physical battle taking place here, it's appropriate in many regards. One, it's representative of the battle within Anakin and the conflict that he's experiencing, as he rides with purpose to do a virtuous thing, but enters with a conflicted mindset, frustrated, angry, hateful, and most of all, fearful of what he may find, as there's much uncertainty along this path. 2, it directly calls back to the importance and significance of the duel that took place on Naboo all those years ago, as the impact of that battle would determine the fate of Anakin Skywalker, as because of it he enters the Tusken Raider camp alone, both literally but metaphorically as well, as he would not have his father figure in Qui-Gon there to help steer him on the right path, as instead he enters headfirst down this road without thinking of the potential consequences of his actions. This scene mirrors and juxtaposes the one in A New Hope. As for Luke, it was a scene of hope and optimism, as he looked to the stars for guidance on the adventure he was about to embark on, and the suns would be setting on the life he once knew, waiting for his new day to dawn. For Anakin, this is the other side of the coin, as this would be a sign of him, like the suns, beginning his plunge into the darkness itself. There's a very nuanced thing here too, where traditionally in storytelling, the heroes move from left to right, and the villains from right to left. This lateral movement is either viewed positively or negatively, stemming from Western culture, the idea of villains entering stage left and heroes stage right. In scenes like the Battle of Hoth, Naboo, or various in Revenge of the Sith, we get to see this visually to instinctively tell us who the forces of good and evil are. So Anakin, very much riding from right to left, emphasizes that he's going backwards or regressing in his own life and choosing the wrong path. Anakin then arrives to the Tusken Raider camp, just in time to find his mother.
Is it you? I'm here, Mom. You're safe.
Anakin sees the condition that she's in and begins to worry about her fate. However, even with that, he does what he can to comfort her, knowing that as long as they're together, they're safe. And maybe she could be saved.
Oh, you look so handsome, my son. Oh, my grown-up son. I'm so proud of you, Annie.
Shmi sees Anakin as any mother would. She hasn't seen him in what feels like a lifetime, but to know that he's become a full-grown man and operating in the world gives her joy in her final moments. And she can look on him with pride to know that he was still successful even years after he flew from the nest. She doesn't need to know about anything that he's accomplished or any of the failures that he may have had. She's proud because her son has made it, a dream of many parents as they're given life to see that their child has grown up, even if they'll always be a child in their eyes.
I missed you.
Now I am complete.
It almost feels like she held on to life just to see her son one final time, and in doing so, she can now die a complete person. A piece of herself still exists in him. Unfortunately for Anakin, at this time he only views this as a failure rather than a blessing, believing that he should have done more to save her, not understanding that like his son would do for him decades later, just being there already has saved her, as despite what happened to her, her unconditional love for him, one of the Skywalker's greatest strengths, would allow her to die in peace.
I love
Stay with me, Mom. Everything.
I love.
In Shmi's final moments, she's unable to have the strength to give her final words, but the message was delivered. Anakin does his best to be strong for her and console her, but his fear and pain stop him from assuring her that everything would be alright. As Anakin mourns the death of the person he most loves in the galaxy, the one who taught him to be the man that he is, he's overcome with rage, as he feels that a part of him has been destroyed. He becomes unbalanced as the darkness takes over. Rather than taking things for what they are and understanding that some things are out of his control, death being one of them, as it very much is a natural part of life, he sees this as his own failure. And in doing so, this fear of death creates an anger and hatred nearly as strong as the love he had for his mother, leading him to do the unspeakable. The darkness consumes him and it dictates his actions as he goes on to slaughter every living thing in sight and wiping out the entire tribe of the Sand People, showcasing the brutality he would be capable of to anyone who wrongs him or his loved ones. Moments after, the pure anger he feels in this act would be so powerful that even the likes of Yoda would feel a great disturbance, to the point that even the voice of Qui-Gon would be heard as he implores Anakin to stop and find peace.
Anakin! Anakin! Pain, suffering, death, I feel. Something terrible has happened. Young Skywalker is in pain. Terrible pain.
Anakin returns with his mother, and the scene after shows where he's at mentally.
Life seems so much simpler when you're fixing things. I'm good at fixing things. Always was, but I couldn't. Why'd she have to die? Why couldn't I save her? I know I could have.
Sometimes there are things no one can fix.
Anakin tries to find peace in the thing that he loves, in something that he excels at. However, like he says, his frustration only grows at the fact that he couldn't apply it to the people that he cares about. It's difficult for him to see and accept that not everything is in his control, and that this is not a sign of failure or weakness, but simply another step in the journey of his life. It's all about perspective. Sometimes bad things happen to good people, but what's important is how we respond to those things, both the good and the bad.
You're not all powerful.
Well, I should be. Someday I will be. I will be the most powerful Jedi ever. I promise you. I will even learn to stop people from dying.
Anakin holds himself to the highest standard, to the point that he has unrealistic expectations for himself, and that's only amplified by his power in the Force and everyone else's expectations for him as the chosen one. It's good that he wants to use the opportunities like this as a lesson to grow. However, the way he's going about it is unhealthy, dealing in an absolute of achieving the near impossible, and anything short of that is failure in his eyes.
It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous. He's holding me back.
Anakin always believes in cause and effect, believing that everything happens for a reason, or truly that everything has a reason for happening. But it can be a slippery slope, as in doing so to this extent he truly believes that someone must always be at fault for every action and event that ever happens. So especially with his over-controlling nature, he needs to understand that sometimes things just happen. He always wants to find the reason, and as a result he blames his master for his lack of prowess in the Force. That may partially be true, but it's a two-way street, as he needs to self-reflect on his own actions, as it might lead him to a more clear answer as to why Obi-Wan has had reservations on him in his training. This showing how Anakin falls into the trap of believing that more power will grant him more happiness, where in reality, it's certainly not the case, as he'll only ever be left wanting more of it, afraid of losing the power that he already has.
What's wrong, Annie?
I killed them. I killed them all. They're dead. Every single one of them. And not just the men, but the women and the children too. They're like animals. And I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them.
Anakin reveals his dark deeds to Padme, as she clearly sensed something terrible beyond his mother's death had happened. This here being a prime example of Anakin's ability to hate as fiercely as he loves, as the loss of that loved one only fueled his hatred to murder an entire tribe of sand people, even the ones that were probably innocent to what happened to his mother. It just shows how his hatred blinded him between the line of good and evil, and allowed him to do something he never would have if he focused on being calm and at peace. Terrible things have happened to him throughout his life, and in that moment his instinct was to get back at those who wronged him with revenge, not realizing the destruction it would do to his inner psyche. And clearly here, the same way two wrongs don't make a right, he doesn't feel any better about the situation, as it changes nothing in terms of bringing back his mother, and his mental state is now fractured.
To be angry is to be human.
I'm a Jedi. I know I'm better than this.
Padme understands that having emotions, good or bad, is just a form of passion, where the Council forces Anakin to be more docile, which can make him unhinged when all this built-up tension is released at once. And again, he reinforces the idea that he has expectations for himself, understanding that what he did was wrong. What Anakin truly needs is a safe place for him to express himself, so these spurts of anger don't simply take over him. Unfortunately, the Council has not really provided him with that, as they seem to have taken a tough love mentality, unmotivating him to be allowed to truly feel his emotions, and at least he gets some semblance of that with Padme. However, it was too little, too late.
I know wherever you are, it's become a better place. You were the most loving partner a man could ever have. Goodbye, my darling wife, and thank you.
I wasn't strong enough to save you, Mom. I wasn't strong enough. But I promise I won't fail again. I miss you so much.
Klieg and Anakin's farewells to Shmi greatly juxtapose one another, as Klieg's words come from a man who has found peace with what has happened, looking at the positive of where she is now, and most importantly, thankful and grateful for the time that he had with her, as we can't control the cards that were given, but we can control what we do with the time that's given to us. This being a mindset that Anakin should adopt. However, Anakin shows that he accuses himself for her death, placing all the burden on himself for what transpired. And if that wasn't enough, he doubles down and claims that he won't let it happen again. Clearly someone who has not found peace with what happened, highlighting the toxic nature of his overly critical views on himself, being self-deprecating to the point that it does more harm than good. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I had a ton of fun making this video, so if you enjoyed it too, then I highly suggest liking the video. And if you want to see more like it, then definitely hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when part 3 comes out, then hit the bell for notifications, or consider checking out my Patreon, where I'll be uploading videos there significantly sooner than on YouTube. Part 3 should be available there as I speak, and the same will apply to the next parts when they come out. And on that note, I want to give a shout out to my patrons. Your support means everything to me. And finally, let me know in the comments which Star Wars character has gone through the greatest challenges and why. And who knows, they might be in the next one. Until next time, remember, sometimes we must let go of our pride and do what is requested of us.